Hey guys, welcome back. It's Missy, and today we're going to be talking about two very subtle ways that the narcissist gaslights you. And I was inspired to make this video because I came across a video by Dr.Ramini here on YouTube, and she had mentioned this, and I just wanted to reiterate something she was saying, and I also wanted to include some stuff. So I'll leave her video in the link below. Definitely check it out, it's very informative. But to start things off, if you're new here, welcome. My name's Missy. I'm a life and relationship coach, and on this channel we get to the root of the issue and we learn how to heal and deal. So if that's your thing, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. I would love for you to be a part of the fam. And if you already are a subscriber, I appreciate you so much. Let's get into today's video. To start things off, let's first define what gaslighting is. Gaslighting is when someone leads you to question your reality, which then causes you to doubt your perceptions and your feelings. And it's a manipulation tactic which narcissists are very good at. And I have a whole video that I'll leave right here if you're interested, where I go more in depth about gaslighting. But basically, you know, there's some examples of gaslighting are when it's clear something has happened and they're denying that it ever happened. Or when you share your feelings, they say, oh, that's all in your mind, or that never happened, I wouldn't do that. Or they deny your feelings when you express something, they tell you it's all in your mind or you're too sensitive. And those are all the verbal ways that they gaslight, and it's pretty hard to tell if you're not informed about gaslighting, but there's even more subtle ways that they gaslight, and it's through their actions. So let's talk about the two very subtle ways that they do gaslight. So let's start with the first way. When you go out in public, the narcissist always seems to be this charming or this really pleasant person to be around. They're always the person that people want to be around or people seem to like. They're the person that's very giving. They're the person that will pay the check. They're the person that will be a good friend and be very compassionate or very nice to the people that are around them. They're the one that will help the person down the stairs. They're the one that will give really good advice. They're the one that's the fun time. And not only that, but you may notice they'll say really positive things about you that they don't normally say at home. And so when they say these things, you're like, wow, they really feel this about me? I never knew. I have no idea. And you're like, who is this different person? They're such a joy to be around. They're so much fun. This is great. And so they're pretty much being that person that maybe they were in the beginning of their relationship, or if they're your parent, they're the person when you love them the most and they're the most fun to be around. And so people around you see how great this narcissistic person is, and they'll say things to you like, oh, you're so lucky to have this person. And you feel good, you feel hopeful, like, oh, okay, that person's still in there, there's hope. But then when you leave, when you go in the car and you go home, the energy has changed. Their demeanor is different. They are not that same fun, nice, caring person that they were in public. They're back to mistreating you. They're back to yelling at you. They're back to criticizing you. They're back to devaluing you. And so when that happens, you think, oh, it must be me. Like, if they can be this person in public and all these people see all these nice things about this person, it must be that I'm the problem. I'm doing this to this person. Or it will create a lot of doubt in yourself, and you're like, well, other people don't see it, so it must just be me. And this is when the cognitive dissonance will come into play. And cognitive dissonance is when you have different inconsistent ideas and beliefs. And the way that you relieve this discomfort is by either denying any extra information, or trying to excuse it, or trying to explain it away. So that's why it's very common for you to internalize and be like, oh, it must be me, I'm the issue. Even though there's clear evidence, it has nothing to do with you. But it's hard when you see something that the rest of the world doesn't. Not only that, but you don't know how to manipulate like the narcissist does, and you don't put on these masks. So in public, you have been provoked so much in public. When you're with this person, you probably do come across as very anxious, or maybe a little bit more on the negative side. You're burnt out, and they see that. So then these people see like the narcissist being positive, and you're not on that same level, and so they're thinking, oh, that narcissist, well, I don't think it's the narcissist, but we're just going to label it because it's easier. They think, oh, that narcissist, they deal with a lot with that person. That person's a burden. Why is the narcissist with this person? But in reality, they have no idea what you've been dealing with behind closed doors. Or you also may come across as angry, especially if you see them being one way behind closed doors and another way in public. There may be, this especially happens if you grow up in this type of environment, you are more of the scapegoat. Naturally, you're sick and tired of the lies. You see right through them, everything that's going on. And so you may try to provoke the narcissist yourself. You may try to be like, hey, why are you being so nice right now? Or you'll make subtle comments, and then you look like you're crazy, or you look like you're misbehaved, or you're the bad kid, especially because they've put that narrative out there. So that reiterates the people on the outside, they don't know what's going on, and so they're like, be nice to your mom, or be nice to your partner. Why are you being so rude? When in reality, you're provoked so much, you want to explode, and you just want the truth to be out there. But still, it works the same way, where when you go home, it inflicts doubt in yourself because you're like, well, no one else sees it, only I can see it, then I must be the problem. Maybe I'm not giving them a chance, or maybe I'm not doing a good job of being a good partner, or being a good child to them. If they really were so bad, why wouldn't anyone else see it? And so this causes you to constantly gaslight yourself, saying that they're one way in public and then different behind closed doors, and no one else around you believes it. It can make you feel helpless and trapped. But in reality, in public, the narcissist is putting their best foot forward. They want to still maintain that delusion that they are this great person. They're the center of attention. They feel very validated and good, that everyone else believes they are this certain person. And so they get that positive supply from the public, but behind closed doors, they're taking out their anger and their shame and all these negative things about themselves, and they're projecting it onto you because they're on two different extremes. In public, they're on the nice extreme where they're their best selves, and then at home, they're at their worst behavior, they're their worst selves, because narcissists don't have good emotional control. So they need others' approval, so that way it can still fit that narrative that they're a good person and they're doing good things. And it's okay the way that they are. So that's the first very subtle way that narcissists gaslight. Now there's a second way that I think narcissists subtly gaslight and manipulate. And this is something that's really big with covert narcissists. You'll see this a lot with covert narcissists. Now, not every narcissist does this, so you may not relate to it, but with the most manipulative people, what happens is they have self-reflection, which I call fake reflection. And I talked a little bit about this in what happens when you go to therapy with a narcissist video, but I want to go more in depth about what this experience feels like. So if the narcissist notices that you're starting to drift away, or there's a problem, they may try to have a conversation with you about it. And they'll ask, like, what's going on? And the only reason why they're asking is because they have a deep fear of abandonment and they don't want to lose their supply. So they realize they need to reel you back in, and they do this by upping the love bombing and putting on that mask like they care. So they'll act invested in you and they'll ask you, what's up? What's going on? And then you may tell them, hey, it bothers me when you yell at me. I really wish you would stop yelling at me. Now, they'll respond in a few ways. They may deny it and say, no, I don't do that. Or they'll say, I want to do better because I want us to have a better relationship. So then you may notice that they're starting to fix it. They're starting to behave a little bit differently. And it doesn't seem like it's much of a problem anymore. They may even go above and beyond and do things that you've asked of them in the past. Like maybe they'll do more chores around the house and take out the garbage, or maybe they'll give you more affection, give you more hugs like you've been wanting. And it seems like things are getting better, and this will go on for a period of time. But then you start to notice maybe they're not yelling anymore, but they're being way more condescending. Maybe they're not blatantly criticizing you, but they're taking a lot more digs and making jokes at your expense. And then if you bring it up, they tell you that you're being sensitive and they're just joking. It's not a big deal. Learn to take a joke. Maybe instead of asking you a bunch of questions and interrogating you, they're now listening to your phone conversations. Or on another hand, you may have brought up a problem multiple times and they completely denied it. They acted like it wasn't a big deal. But then when you started to be more distant, they all of a sudden started subtly making more changes. So you will notice the changes. So then here comes that cognitive dissonance again, where you're like, well, they're not really doing those same things anymore, so it must be getting better. They're really changing. They love me. They're trying to make our relationship work. So then you will question yourself and your reality, and you'll be like, well, maybe I'm being a little bit too harsh on them. You know, everyone kind of listens at the door every once in a while. It's not a big deal. Is this really what's going on, or am I seeing things wrong? Maybe I'm making things up. Oh, they're just having a little bit of a bad day. That's why they're being condescending, but at least they're not yelling. So you'll realize it's getting better, but at the same time, you're realizing that it's shifting or it's getting worse in a different way. So that's why the cognitive dissonance comes in and you say, I'm picky. It's just me. I need to learn how to be happy. I need to give them a chance. It's a lot easier and more comfortable to blame it on ourselves rather than saying like, no, this isn't acceptable. This isn't okay. Because once you're uncomfortable with that, you're giving away responsibility, you're giving away control, and you can't really do much if it's the other person. That's scary. That's out of your control. So then you just internalize and think it's you. When I was a kid, I remember I would never be vulnerable no matter what. When my narcissist would come up to me and would cry and say, why don't you love me? Why aren't you trying to work on our relationship? What's wrong? What's the problem? I wouldn't say one word. I didn't know why. Because any person, if someone's asking what's wrong, you would say why. I wouldn't say one word. And then as I got older, I realized I wouldn't say a word because I knew it was going to be a temporary solution and it was going to be extremely manipulative. It was going to be fake. There was no real solution to the problem. She would just get better at hiding what she was doing. She was going to do it in other subtle ways. She knew something about me and she could use it to her advantage. So this is a huge way of gaslighting because they're not using what you're telling them as a way to better the relationship or to stop doing the bad behavior they're doing to you. They're using it as a tool to now be more manipulative and be able to hurt you or control you in other manipulative ways. So just understand, when the narcissist is on their best behavior, it's just another mask that they're putting on. It's another form where they can get the supply. It's another way where they can keep you isolated and alienated and made to believe that you are this crazy person. When the narcissist tries to make it seem like they're trying to make things better in your relationship, they're not. They're just subtly trying to still get away with the things that they were getting away with, but in more subtle ways. They still want you to fit that narrative that you're crazy and that they're not doing anything wrong. They still can manipulate you. They still have control over you. They still know what makes you happy and what makes you unhappy and how to get positive and negative supply from you. So that's why it's super important to be aware of this and understand that as a whole, a narcissist is always just putting on different masks, and these masks are always to benefit them in some sort of way. So if there's ever a moment when you're around a narcissist and you pretty much have identified they have a lot more narcissistic traits, remember, when that self-doubt comes in, that's just the gaslighting. So what do you guys think? Leave it on the comments below, and please don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and share with someone that you think may need it. Until next time, thanks for watching. Bye guys. This shirt makes me feel like I'm wearing like a slingshot around my arm, and I just like hurt my arm. Or maybe I'm Miss America in a pageant. Or I look like Cameron Diaz in this shirt. Oh.